got up early for Minyan this morning, which isn't all that unusual, but in preparing for this, I had to set the alarm and I set the coffee maker so I would be properly awake when davening, practice the Torah reading that I had to do a couple of days before, and also had to make sure others had made sure there'd be somebody to open the door. Used to be that the door was on a timer, and just before Minyan started, it would unlock automatically here at the shul. But that all stopped. That stopped 3 years ago. It stopped 3 years ago this week. 3 years ago this week, of course, on the Gregorian calendar, a little earlier on the Hebrew calendar, was the shooting at the Tree of Life synagogue in Pittsburgh, where 11 individuals were murdered because they were Jews in a synagogue on Shabbat morning. And it's a lot in response to that. But among the response, of course, are things like the doors of the synagogue now are always locked. And even over the course of these last 18 months, when we've been concerned about microscopic particles and droplets that we can't even see that could harm us, we've maintained our security regimen of making sure that the doors are locked. Because after the Tree of Life shooting, synagogues need to be careful. In the Torah portion that I read this morning, that we read this week, speaks of Abraham mourning the death of his wife Sarah, burying her, crying for her, and then finding a way to move on with his life. And the same thing happens at the end of the parsha for Isaac. Isaac, after a longer process, it seems, of mourning, mourns his mother and finds a way to move on. This, of course, is the first Jewish family, and it reflects our own current Jewish families, which is, in the face of death, in the face of difficulty, we mourn, and we have to find a way to move on. We can't forget, and especially tragic, hate-driven deaths like those at the Tree of Life, we can't forget. But we also have to find a way to move on and further the Jewish mission in the world from the time of Abraham to be a blessing to ourselves, to God, to our community, and to all the families of the earth. So we can only do that by maintaining our connection to the sacred tradition and to the best of the Jewish tradition, and by not being afraid, by taking care of ourselves. May those who died at the Tree of Life, may their memory be for a blessing, and Shabbat Shalom.